everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you my pink full moon art. This would be the April full moon. As some of you have been following along, I'm doing a full moon inspired art each month having to do with the named full moons. And of course, April is the pink full moon, so that's how come this art was inspired. I also have a Facebook group that you can come and join if you would like to also do art inspired by the named full moons in 2019 and share your art there. Link will be in the description box below the video. So I'm starting my painting with some acrylic paint. These are the Dylusions paints, and I'm using a 2-inch brayer to apply them to my page. I have taped off the edges of my page. This is the Arteza acrylic paper spiral bound pad that I'm doing this in, and I've been doing all my full moon pieces in this. And of course, in the iCard and in the links at the end of the video, there will be links to other art that I've done this year for the named full moons. So why is it called the pink full moon? It has nothing to do with it actually being pink, although sometimes full moons will appear different colors depending on when they rise during the sunset. Sometimes they will be, orangey or pinky, but that's not really what it's about. The full moons are that we're using in the Farmer's Almanac were mostly assigned by Native Americans, and they used a lunar cycle instead of a solar cycle. And they named the moons based on things that were happening at that time that were important to them, like the seasons. And there is, in the Northern Hemisphere, a ground covering plant called wild phlox, PHLOX, and it's pink. It's very, very pink. And so this time in April when this full moon comes up was generally the time that flower would come about and be around. Of course, I'm going to make my whole painting pretty much pink because I think it's cool to have something called a pink full moon. I like it. So you don't have to go realistic. You can be very, figurative about the art that you're making, and the word is pink, and so I'm going to go with pinks. So I'm using pinks and purples from this Dylusions paint set to set up my basic background for my painting, and I'm making sure that I'm getting that real dry with the heat tool. So this moon might have other names, other Native American names. It could be the sprouting grass moon, the fish moon, the hare moon, or the egg moon. Of course, it's close to Easter. Easter's this weekend, this Sunday. So, you got your whole bunnies and hares. Hare, not HAIR, hare, HARE, the bunny. I call it a bunny. It's but I decided I wanted to put a bunny on there. I think they're fun. I see them in my backyard a lot, and we have kind of an interesting relationship when they want to try to chomp on some of my plants. I get a little bit irritated with them, and they give me a lot of attitude. They'll see me come out on the patio, and they'll just kind of look at me like, "What? We can be here. That's fine. The whole world is ours." Yeah, that's what happens. So I'm giving you a bunny here. I've trimmed it out, drawn it and trimmed it out of some map paper. I like to use printed papers in my collage, and this is kind of a combo collage and acrylic painting. So I thought that the color of that map, the kind of whites and cream colors, was a good color for a bunny. So that's what I drew my bunny on, and I cut it out. Then I'm using a stamp that has a flower shape that looks very similar to what this wild phlox shaped flower looks like. And I'm using the acrylic paint to stamp the flower all around the lower portion of my painting. And that's a quick way to get some flowers on there. If you had to paint each little petal, I could do that. I might do that, but when I'm trying to make something to put on YouTube, I realize that people don't have patience and that they're not going to watch me do a ridiculously long, drawn out piece of art. So when I'm doing something like this, I like to find ways to make it quicker, and stamping the flowers on there was a way to make it quicker. This painting took me a little over 2 hours to do, and of course then I had to trim out trim out repetitive parts, speed up repetitive parts in order to get it into 20 minutes, because I don't think anyone will watch more than 20 minutes really. So, and I can see that from my statistics that I am correct. Most people will watch 8 minutes of this 20-minute video on average. So I know some of you watch it all the way through and you're awesome. Some of you don't need to watch it all through. Some parts are repetitive and whatever. That's all about what everybody wants to do. I mean, I can't force you to watch it at all. So, um, the next thing I did, I wanted to make some bushy branches, like this is out in nature. You know, maybe it's in a park, maybe it's I don't know where, it's on a hill somewhere. So I drew in some branchy, drew some trees in the far distance, and then some branches coming in from the sides. And then I used that same map paper I have of the scraps left over to cut out little leaves. And this part of the process probably took the longest for the entire painting to just collage on all these little pieces. But I liked, sorry, that they brought in an extra color, that they do have some of that creamy color, some blues, like you would have some shadowy blue colors, and that they were another element that coordinated with the bunny. So I've got them going on as fast as I can. We've now sped up to 8 times fast. I'm using Liquitex Matte Gel Medium and a scruffy old brush to apply them, putting the medium onto the paper and then putting the leaf down and then going over the top of it with the brush with some of the medium to seal it all down. I, of course, have to cut out more because I didn't cut out enough to begin with, and I'm using up all the little extra scraps of that paper to make sure that I don't waste anything. Here I am attaching the bunny, same Liquitex Matte Gel Medium. That's my preferred medium for doing collage, and of course I do collage a lot. So this is the kind that I go through really, really fast. It's almost like I'm eating this stuff. I mean, that's how fast I go through. So I'm continuing on the left side of the page to do the same thing, bring in some leafy, branchy, bushy things that are all around, and the bunny's just kind of in a little bit of clearing, like you're peeking through the bushes so you can see him. You can look at the moon and the bunny through the bushes. Got to be very quiet because you'll startle him. He's got those big ears and he will just hop away. So this is kind of your sneak peek through the bushes. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of attaching leaves going on here. This did take a minute. I'm happy with the colors. I thought to myself when I was thinking about making this painting, can I really do it all in colors of pink? Will that really work? Because the sky is only pink really at sunset and not at nighttime, and the ground is never pink except for, I guess, if it's covered with wild phlox. I guess maybe the ground is pink. I did actually see some pictures of one of my friends who lives in Lancaster, California, where we used to live. There is a poppy reserve there, California Poppy Reserve, that I have pictures from when we lived there and my kids were little, and you know they'd be out in the middle of the field. And as you're driving up and around that high desert part of California, the hills do really turn orange. I mean, from the distance, they really do look orange. So I'm assuming that if I saw a hill that had this wild phlox on it that it would look pink. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The pink is all going to stay. These are the pinks for the pink full moon. That's just it. So then my next thing to do was to fix up my moon. I've got some light pink, some dark kind of a magenta, and then a little bit of a darker blue color acrylic paint, and I am using a brush. You don't see me do this very often, do you? I do actually know kind of how to paint with acrylic. I just don't do it very often because I'm all about collage, and that's why. But you can absolutely paint with acrylic if you want to. So my moon wasn't very round. You know, it's hard to paint a round circle. So I used a plastic container that I used on my desk to sort things to kind of make a circle and fill it out a little bit. And then I'm adding the colors, layering on some darker colors, some lighter colors, and just continuing to do that for a while until I'm satisfied with how the moon looks. You know, I did go out and look at the moon last night. It is not a super moon. January, February, and March we had super moons. This is a regular full moon, but I tell you what, that thing was blindingly bright, super bright. Um, doesn't look close, but it was very bright. So I wanted to make sure that I made it bright and also that you could see the craters or hints of the shading on there of the craters because I could definitely see that last night when I looked at the moon. And it's full again today, and probably today is the day, the 19th is the day when it's the fullest, although it looked very full last night. So I'm not sure when it actually rose, if it was I think it's the morning of the 19th is when when it's officially full or whatever. But last night on the 18th, it was certainly looked full to me and bright, very bright. So bright you could hardly look at it. Kind of blinded you a little bit. Of course, that's going to have to do with light pollution and whether or not there's a haze where you're living or there's some clouds. That it was completely clear here. So nothing, no pollution, no anything, just a nice dark night with a bright, bright moon. Didn't look pink though. It looked white and yellow-ish, a little bit of yellowish, not pink at all. But I'm just continuing with this small brush and some acrylic paint. I've got light pink, I've got white, I've got a darker pink, and I've got a blue, and I'm just kind of continuing to layer it on until I'm happy with the way it looks. I am looking at a photograph of a full moon just to kind of get an idea of where the craters are. Of course, they're going to move depending on the angle of the picture or whatever, but I wanted it to look somewhat realistic so that you could tell that it was supposed to be the moon and not something else, some big round splotch. I don't know. Then I'm adding a little bit of highlight to the top of the Phlox Hill. The moon would be shining its bright light onto it and creating a halo effect on the top of the hill. So I'm making sure to add that while I still have that acrylic paint on my palette. Then this is a Stabilo All pencil in black, and I am starting to add shading and more interest to the bunny. Obviously, so far it's just drawn in pencil. So I add the Stabilo All, which is a highly water reactive, like really water reactive pencil. And then I'm taking my little brush and I've got some of that white paint over on my palette, and I'm blending the pencil, picking up the pencil and with the white paint and a little bit of water on the brush and blending out to make shadows and highlights onto my bunny. So I'm thinking about where the light would hit the bunny coming from the moon and adding a lighter side on the right and making it a little bit darker on the left. And then I continue to add pencil and blend it and add more white paint and blend that and continue that until I'm satisfied with the bunny's features and everything about him. His nose, the top of his head has to be lighter, and then the around the eye needs to have a shadow sinking in a little bit, and there'll be a shadow on the left side because that's where the light isn't hitting as much. So I'm just using at this point the darkness of the pencil and blending it with the lightness of white and still leaving some of the pattern. I don't want to completely obliterate the pattern that is already on the paper because I think it's interesting. I think it makes it more interesting to have the pattern on the paper. So some of it gets covered up a little bit, but not the whole thing. And yeah, I like the way it turned out. Also, doing this helps the cutout piece appear as if it's more blended in to the background because it has the edges blended in to the background. It doesn't look like it's a cutout piece that's just slapped on there. Then I take a little bit of that pink and I add just a tiny bit of pink here and there on the bunny, a little bit on the bottom of his feet, a little bit on his paws, some on his ears, on his nose, just to bring in that pink color that is around the rest of the composition. And I think he's cute. I love bunnies. I have other bunny art on my channel in and amongst the 500 plus videos. I've made quite a few different things with bunnies because I just think they're funny. I think they're cute and they have a lot of attitude, and some of them are very small little whitetails. Some of them are more like a jackrabbit where they have big ears and long limbs. And we have both of those kind here in Arizona. So they always make me laugh when I see them in the backyard in the morning or the evening. So now I'm using a smaller brush and still that same white paint, and in some cases mixed with a little bit of pink paint that is on my palette, and just adding some more highlights here and there, filling out the trees in the background. Eventually I'll be adding a lot of grass or something like that, grassy bits around here and there. Blending the white with a little bit of pink and then also adding a little bit more purple and blending it another shade so that everything has a lot of dimension, just, to make it look more cool. I hope you're enjoying this video. I hope you're enjoying the series of the named full moons. Up there I do put some stars on with a little bit of splatter from my white Posca pen. If you have been enjoying it, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. I'll be sure to answer you in a day or two. And a question if you have one. Subscribe if you haven't already. And you will find fresh new videos fairly often. I try to go for every other day or every third day. So a lot of videos, about 13 a month. And then you can pin this on Pinterest if you plan to try something like this. You can come and join the Facebook group, Full Moon Inspired Art. I will put the link below the video. So here I am adding in the grassy portions of this thing, and I'm just about done with it. Grass isn't pink, but I don't care. It looks good. This is a pretty monochromatic piece, and I like it. Then I just touch up the eye of the bunny. I give him kind of a dark pink eye with a white highlight. Add some whiskers with my white Posca pen, a little bit of detailing with my white Posca pen, and a few very bright white highlights here and there, blended in with my Posca pen. And that is about it for this full moon inspired art for the pink full moon, April 2019. Thanks. Bye-bye.